Hollow Knight. Great game. You should play it after you watch me play it with a gun. I am not asking. I'm sure your page is still flooded with Silksong, and I'm here to showcase something else the original game actually has to offer. Lots and lots of guns. Hollow Point is a mod that straight up adds just that, and it is probably the most fun I've ever had with this game. Now, admittedly, I have only ever seen speedruns of this mod. These greatly downplay what the mod actually has to offer, as it overhauls everything, and unfortunately, also makes the game impossible to beat alone. So with the help of a few mods being benchwarp because I'm lazy, QOL to actually make the game possible to progress, and debug in case anything goes wrong, I'm able to beat Hollow Point only if I get the true ending. I mean, I could just uninstall the gun mod when I reach the final boss, but honestly, that would be boring. Anyway, let's do this. So, right off the bat, we realize something immediately. I really missed the sprint button. This marks the start of our journey. The beginning is quite dull, so I'm just gonna use this to explain Hollow Point. So the soul meter is now purely ammo, and soul itself has been replaced with a new mechanic called adrenaline, which is similar, but different. Similar as in it still charges when dealing damage, but different as in pretty much everything else. For starters, you only heal when you gain adrenaline points over your capacity, and you lose adrenaline if you get hit. This effectively reinforces the mindset of the only HP that matters is 0. As in, if you go on a hitless spree on 1 HP, you'll be back to full in no time. In terms of spells, each spell costs all your adrenaline points, but you only need 1 to actually activate them. However, spells and other charms can be enhanced when you're at full adrenaline. This means that you have a lot of incentives to just stay at max. Personally, I love how the healing works, as it doesn't disrupt the flow of combat at all. However, I would like it if you did have some way to heal outside of combat, something like a base kit 1 mass deep focus, so you still have the option, but you're still very much encouraged to use a new healing system. Alright, now that that's explained, back to the game. You might have noticed that I haven't skipped right to Green Path, even though if I want to, I actually can. That's because I actually want to get the Soul Catcher charm. In base game, it just increases soul generation when you hit enemies. However, in Hollow Point, it's an absolute godsend. So, on top of the base game benefits, it also turns your gun into a 3-round burst MP5 that, while it's borderline melee, it has a lot of recoil. Now, normally, recoil is bad, but when you put that recoil in the hands of a cracked out Void Vessel with Gorilla Grip, you instead receive the equivalent of Barry Steak Fries on a mission to become the next Nightmare on Elm Street. With my newfound flight powers in tow, I head on over to Green Path and notice something familiar about Hornet as she watches over me. With this in mind, I skip half the entire area, stopping to kill the giant bush, and follow her over to this unassuming room to ask, hey, why do you look like a YouTube subscribe button?
What?
Why do you look like YouTube?
Wait a minute, how are you speaking to me?
Magician secret. I think she's a little suspicious of me. Just don't look into the implications of this. After throwing Hornet off my trail, I'm able to grab the dash cloak that allows me to still lack a sprint button. I swear, once you get a taste of crack, you can't go back. My main mission at the moment is just acquiring as much mobility as possible, so naturally, my next destination is the fungal wastes. So the first thing I did on my way here was get diffed by diagonal firing. As the inputs can be weird sometimes, it's good to make sure to set it to 4 directions when you want to do anything platforming related. Moving on, our first stop here is going to be the Mantis Village. Normally, there's this entire kerfuffle to get inside, but with a gun, you can introduce the ecosystem to the martial laws of propulsion. God bless Farloop. After a little bit of platforming, we grab the claw and reach the Mantis Lords. Defeating them here gives me the Marksman's Pride, which I'll be using for combat scenarios, as well as access to Deepnest, which I'll need later. The fight itself is nothing really special, especially considering the fact that it has a whole ass explanation in my Indulging Urge video. Just reduce the enemies by 1, give me a gun, and take away 90% of my upgrades, and then boom! You get a much longer, yet easier fight that has me trying to sharp shadow without iframes. Alrighty, on to the next upgrade. Head back up to the entrance, take a right, and then go down. This gets you to Dash Master, which is already great in base game. You guessed it. It's upgraded here too. Normally it just decreases your dash cooldown and allows you to dash downwards, which I have only found application for in Silksong. I find it really funny how many things in that game Hornet just makes better use of. Anyway, in this mod, it also increases recoil, which, as I mentioned, really good for platforming. To prove this point, I warp back to Salubra to fly over her house and get kidnapped. This is what is called a canon event. It depicts an alternate reality where EDP actually was picking up a cupcake. Fortunately, oh fuck. God's smiting me for saying that. Unfortunately, we get snapped out of that reality by picking up a bladed glove. This allows us to cut into the dream world and rewrite the 2010 remake of Nightmare on Elm Street. Fucking horror fans when a guy that kills people for fun is a bad person. Listen, I'm all for the love of the game, but okay, yeah, they remade this guy to be a diddler. I do understand drawing the line at that. Now that I've replaced that guy and taken the mantle of the new Dream Demon, I decided to test my skills against the Dream Warrior. You know, after a while, it's just kind of become my headcanon that these guys don't even exist. The knight just sees a grab and just starts shadowboxing with it like he's Baki. This is one of the easier ones, as you just spay out the spears and dash out of the way. What wasn't easy was this soul shard over to the right. Yeah, it only took me 2 tries, but... oh, fuck. Yeah, at least in Hollow Knight, when you have a god-awful run back, it's because you actively aren't supposed to be in that area. Looking at you, Biowater. Finishing that up, we land ourselves in a King's Station, which isn't supposed to be our introduction to the City of Tears. I got an idea. Right below the King's Station is the entrance to the Kingdom's Edge. This place is home to plenty of critters that my lack of gunpowder demonstrates that at this stage of the game, we are not welcome here. But at the same time, there's plenty of things that I'll need here, but for now, I'm only here for one, as well as this nail art that I happened to come by during my search. You see, Hornet has yet to answer my question, and she happens to be somewhere in this area. So equipping the... just give me a moment. Equipping the Marksman's Pride gives me a sniper rifle that deals buckets of damage. The only thing that stops me from using it during exploration is the fact that out of all the guns in this game, this has some of the least amount of recoil, making it near useless for platforming. Alas, it's Hornet season. So, little confession post-production, but what I just said about this charm is a fucking lie. The sniper's actually the long nail, while the Mark of Pride is a DMR with less range. Because that makes sense. With the power of debug, I can respawn this fight if I want to do it my way, but I want to only use that for its camera tools, and honestly, I already got diffed more times than I want to admit.
Shouldn't have brought a needle to a gunfight. Alas, I'm not done. Come forth, my critters!
Ah, hell no, can't even save the kingdom anymore, too many sweats. So with this fight done, I channel my cave diver's instinct and brand myself as the king. Unfortunately, I forgot that I have a loving brainwashed family in this kingdom, and it collapsed in on me. Oh hey, thanks G. So anyway, the moment I entered the city the wrong way marked the beginning of the what if I just go here phase of the run. With that in mind, let's enter the Abyss. The entrance and entire segment is pretty normal. Just in case though, I buy this bench and set my spawn because I would rather not have to run back from here. One thing that isn't normal, however, is the fact that this is normally done much later in the game, and not when I have 5 health. However, due to she who shall not be named, I have grown quite accustomed to double damage by this point. Luckily, I managed to escape the horde only getting hit twice, allowing me to swim into motor oil and finally having my turn in a medieval bath. Now all that's left to do is scale back up, narrowly avoid death, and oh, hi. Back at the bench, I decide to once more laugh in the face of Team Cherry by countering their troll attempt. Normally, you need the crystal dash to cross this gap, but with a gun, you can simply pogo on the spikes, then burst yourself up at the end. If you're someone that happened to fall for this in base game, don't worry, so did I. Down here, we're able to do a small trial of combat, narrowly avoid the forbidden orange juice, and fight another one of my brethren. Fortunately, he's just infected and not a ghost. This means he only deals 1 damage and has a variety of really telegraphed attacks. If you're wondering why he isn't part of my urge, I'll get to that. So the ads aren't that bad as they just die in 1 hit, and his only really BS attack is his relocation, which not only isn't even an attack, but a lot of bosses have for some reason. Alas, I style on my kin as he loses the 1v21. Yep, I counted. Clearing this earns me the Monarch Wings, which grants me a double jump. Honestly, I don't need these as my MP5 gives me hella leverage. However, it is also really convenient to just be able to jump twice without firing my gun. Returning to the arena lets me do a rematch against him, appropriately named the Lost Kin. This time, it was me who lost. I thought about switching to my long nail given I don't need the MP5 now, however, I am lazy. So I just decided to raw dog my brother in the Dream Realm. Not much else to say about this fight, he's just faster and more aggressive, which honestly would be much more fun if he didn't spam this relocation. Jesus Christ, how many times do you need to jump before you're like, okay, I'll attack now? Like, holy shit. You know it's bad when my laziness deems that actually doing the fight optimally is better. And even then, it still took me 4 more tries. Alright, I see why this fight isn't part of my urge now. fuck you, buddy. For anyone else struggling in that fight, just remember, killing the ads with your gun gives you way more ammo back. And the sniper pierces. Thank me later. Moving on from the basin for now, I head back up to the city to clear everything I need from it, going right to left. Mostly. First, we have one of the dreamers who puts up a tough fight. Unfortunately, it pales in comparison to the shit that I just went through. Seriously, that fight was actually easier without my gun. I just wanted to showcase it. Though I did almost die to the last one for some reason. Unfortunately, part 2, I learned here that the speedrun quality of life mod that I downloaded for this very reason doesn't actually work. This means that whenever I try to absorb a dreamer which I need to progress the game, I just get stuck. Well, at least I have debug. You know, I really didn't expect this mod to come as handy as it did. And it's also kind of funny, considering I only downloaded the debug mod to support the speedrun quality of life mod. Ah, well. Second in the city, we have a cutscene that's missing. Okay, maybe going to the abyss first fucked with things a little. I already made these assets beforehand though, so,
No, you are not stealing that joke. Also, Silksong's already out.
And then she zips off and says,
Fucking Christ.
And then the night goes, I didn't know Jesus existed in Hollow Nest. Guys, I swear, it was really funny. Please laugh. Heartbreak aside, second, we have our very first nail upgrade. This would have been very handy earlier. Lastly, we have an archaeologist. You can tell the difference between that and a thief because I'm the one who actually robbed the graves. Though I can't help but feel like I'm missing something. Well, city's cleared, time to move on. Next up on a chopping block is Deepnest. Deepnest also contains 3 things that I will need, all of which being very easy to find at this landmark. You know, I've always been curious what happens if you actually meet up with the Skinwalker here. Okay, interesting. Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled navigation. First up, we have said Skinwalker. With my mobility, I don't need my MP5 as honestly, fighting this thing with it sucks. The entire fight is just jump over Nosk when it runs, move when it jumps, and dodge the juice. However, with a sniper, you can just hit him across the arena and it's fucking amazing. Home run. This gets me a pale ore, which I'll need to upgrade my nail any further. Next up, we have one of my favorite charms in the game, the Sharp Shadow. I did a brief explanation of it in my Urge video, but essentially what it does is it makes my Shade Cloak actually deal damage. This damage directly scales off your nail and deals 50% more damage if you have Dash Master, which is actually a hidden synergy. Furthermore, Hollow Point has this charm reducing my Shade Dash cooldown when I'm actually at max adrenaline. Now, the Hollow Knight community, being the community it is, apparently, from what I've heard, dismisses this charm as quote-unquote reinforcing bad habits. And while I literally showed that in effect earlier, as I also said in my Urge video, I find it fun. Anyway, rant aside, I need more charm notches to actually use this. Extremely easy fix for it actually. Salubra sells them, and also the final items I'll be looking for in Kingdom's Edge. Oh yeah, you thought I'd be looking for Quick Slash, eh? Hell no, they gutted that shit. I'm here for Guts, Glory, and yeah, fuck it, let's do number 2 and get another pale ore. That stuff's said to be, like, sacred, but I swear, they're selling this shit in back alleys like it's kryptonite, the fuck? Alright, back to playing the game. You might be wondering how I navigate Deepnest so well without a map or a compass. Here's how. I don't. Seriously, I just have my route for these 3 Deepnest items, and it always comes down to, stay at the bottom, go left. Go right, and as far as possible, down. And lastly, go as far as possible, left. Oh god, that's dark. Let's change that. Go to Dirtmouth, buy a lantern, and then go left. Here we can get kidnapped. This allows us to go into the Beast Den where we can kill Hornet's mom. Oh hey look, I fixed that mod. Yeah, turns out it was just QOL, not speedrun QOL. I'm still keeping debug though, it's actually proven its worth. Anyway, normally one would be furious at this happening. However, Hornet gets me. To allow her some time to grieve, and totally not because I don't want to walk my way out of here. Now, as I need to get the true ending of the game, there are 3 components I need to get on top of the Dreamers, and this requires me to gather 1800 essence. I currently have a lot of work to do. So let's do a quick boss rush. Back at the crossroads, let's refight the False Knight. This fight isn't as difficult when you realize you don't even need to double jump over the shockwaves. It's also close quarters, so I just decided to use the MP5. Back at Green Path lets me fight No Eyes, who just kinda summons ghosts and floats about. No other notes about this fight other than she's the farthest I got in Pantheon of Hollow Nest in base game. Yeah. I can do some of the hardest bosses in this game hitless, but that's all just practice. Put me in like any other fight and I am getting completely diffed. Anyway, Sniper trivializes this fight. On top of the essence, Snow Eyes also grants me a mask shard, giving me my first extra mask of the entire run. Traveling up from here... Oh, whoops. Lets us get a myriad of things. I grabbed this essence and Joni's blessing, then... Oh shit. Almost died going around the exit. Then learn a nail art and fight Gorb. She is Gorb. Back at Kingdom's Edge, lets us fight Markov. I paused my recording to script that very sentence and forgot to turn it back on. Oops. Alright, little checkpoint here. Normally, I do like to claim all the rewards at once, but I want to kill 2 birds with 1 stone here, so I head back up to the seer to get a piece of ore. This lets me head on over to the nailsmith and have him ore farm on me twice. These new upgrades in hand, I decided it's finally time to stop forgetting about the Soul Tyrant. In my defense, I kinda need his essence. 1753. Alright, sweet. Rest I should just be able to get on my way. Let's do our job now. Heading back to the Queen Station, we can re-enter the Fog Canyon, collecting a tree on the way. In the Teacher's Archive, I re-equipped the MP5 as I don't have acid immunity. Luckily, 9mm solves all of my alchemy problems. What it doesn't solve, however, is my skill issue at minor platforming challenges. Now, if this was any other playthrough, I'd be able to beat the game now and end this video. However, I really need to get those components. So the first of which can be found in the Queen's Gardens. Simply return to the Fog Canyon, go really far left, grabbing the Shriek spell on the way, and then head down. Not gonna lie, I forget like everything about this place, so I kinda just flailed around until I found what I needed. On the bright side, I did find the last bit of essence to awaken my dream nail, so I'll do that later. For now, however, I have a boss to kill. In this area above Cornifer, you can do a short platforming segment, made harder with Sharp Shadow. Then up above, you can fight, wait, what the fuck? The Traitor Lord! I am very smart. So this guy's the elusive 4th Mantis Lord who chose to embrace the infection, and as you can see, it didn't turn out so well. Hi, Mom. Dad said it's my turn with the Void. Thanks. Alright, time to meet Dad. Way back in a basin, I head all the way to the right and make sure to equip the MP5. I forgot to equip the MP5. And awaken the Dream Nail. Awakening that, I finally get to enter the White Palace. This place is entirely platforming, and with the MP5, you can reach heights that Monarch Wings could only dream of. However, I never accounted for the fact that I would actually need Crystal Dash here. Let me go get that real quick. Honestly, I wanted to see if I could beat the game without visiting this area, but oh well. Crystal Peak. Nothing inherently wrong with it, I just wanted to see how far I could get. This place, funny enough, is also mostly platforming, just with a bit more combat. As I am quite overprepared for this, you can easily cheese the main meat of this dash room by using Shade Cloak. Alright, now it's time to meet my dad. Like I said, having a gun really helps me skip like half the entire area. Literally just anything requiring verticality and you are set. Though, just make sure to unequip the Sharp Shadow, because Queen's Gardens you can get away with it, White Palace, you kinda can't for this specific segment. Alas, I finally get to meet... Oh. Well, good thing he still has the carton. King Soul completed, I put it on, and hightail right back to the Void. Here, we dream nail ourselves to do some more platforming. You know, you'd think we could do this into Crystal Peak if we just need a reflection, but oh well, guess not. With this, my King Soul evolves into the Void Heart, freeing up 5 of my charm slots and allowing me to finally beat the game. I head back up to the bench, bumping into Hornet again at the top.
So you've gone to your birthplace and learned your origin, and yet, that makes you even more of an anomaly.
I don't think it showed me anything out of the ordinary.
Just what did you see?
Okay, so I recorded these lines you wanted, but where should I conceal? I can't find any... Oh, I know, just a place. Oh, Hornet's gonna be so mad. Before I beat the game, however, I do have a few final preparations, both surprisingly around the city. The first being the Soul Optimizer. This charm in base game just reduces the amount of soul spells consumed. It's still pretty good, just not my cup of tea as I mainly prefer nail-oriented builds. However, Hollow Point has this bonus applying to the gun instead, making it actually really good for my nefarious schemes. Next up has me going down to the waterways. I wanted to grab this earlier in secret, but I didn't know I needed Desolate Dive for it. Here I can fight Flukemarm and get my final component for the final fight. Now, I would narrate how this fight went, but it's probably better I just show you. Now, once again, if you like spells, this charming base game is already a must-have. However, in Hollow Point... Hell yeah, brother. Let's fucking do this.
In here lies the reason you're in Hellenas. But you've shown me that you're more than capable of fulfilling your destiny. No worse this time, huh? Well then, go forth, little ghost, and free this kingdom of pestilence. Khan, I'm going to kill you.
And here we meet our final sibling and the name of the game, the Hollow Knight. Unfortunately for him, this vessel isn't here. I'm unbound by the shackles of hitless runs, and most importantly of all, I have a gun. He has many iframes from the gun, but it matters not as I can just lay into him and begin the real final fight. Now this thing is no joke. Dealing a consistent double damage, this boss poses a real challenge. However, the Radiants greatly underestimated my will to not have to replace my strength charm. That shit cost Geo, dude. Before I knew it, I entered the final phase, which luckily is just avoiding lasers. To finish off this fight, just hit him once with your nail and start wailing into him with your void tendrils. And with that, the run is complete. I always have loads of fun with Hollow Point, and it truly lets you experience the game at any pace you want. This turns Hollow Knight into a truly open world experience. If anything, making this video only makes me more curious, like, how would low percent work? I'm 99% sure you can actually complete this game without the dash, but I do know Mantis Claw and Dash Master is definitely a requirement. Anyway, that's a future concept I can explore another time. If you want to see more like this, be sure to support me by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. See ya.